Character, thought, diction, complications into denouement. Character. For character, there are 4 things that they should try and be. 1. Morally good. If their purpose is good, then the character will be good. But what is considered good will change depending on each character. 2. Conventionally acceptable or courageous. 3. Feel like a real person. Be relatable. 4. Consistency. A character must be consistently who they are throughout the story. Even if a character is inconsistent, they have to be consistently inconsistent. Character is the same as plot in that the writer should be making them necessary or probable in the story. So when a character says or does something, it should be necessary or probable for them to say or do those things, based on the characteristics that they've established, of course. And anything they do after is probable or necessary based on what they did before. You don't want anything irrational happening between the characters, as that breaks the flow of the story. As drama is an imitation of people, the writer can make them true to life or exaggerate aspects of them as they see fit. The writer should observe these rules, but be mindful of and nurture the emotions people will feel watching the film. Thought. Thought is everything that we learn about through speech, whether they are important or not, including proofs and refutations, emotional expressions like pity, fear, anger, happiness, sadness, all that stuff. Scenes should have the same POV as what the characters are saying or doing, but an action can show something without speaking. The effect speech has is to tell us something about the character that's speaking. It says a lot about a character if their thoughts are revealed to be different from what they say. Also with thought, you can apply everything in Aristotle's rhetoric. Diction. Diction is about the exact choice of words and the way characters talk. And so much of that is down to delivery, which is really more the actor's job than the writer's. But understanding if a line is a command, or a prayer, or a statement, or a threat, or a question, or an answer makes a big difference to how the story is going to unfold. It's important that these things are clear on the page so that they're interpreted appropriately. So all words are either 1. Current, meaning a word that's in common use. 2. Strange, meaning a word that's commonly used in other cultures. A word can be both current and strange depending on who is watching. 3. Metaphorical. I'll go into detail about metaphors in a minute. 4. Newly coined, meaning a word created by the writer that has never been used before. 5. Lengthened, meaning when another syllable is added to it or a vowel exchanged for a longer one. 6. Contracted, meaning when a part of the word has been removed. 7. Altered, meaning one part of the word remains the same, but another part of it has been changed or readjusted. So metaphor is applying a new label to a thing or situation by transferring from a thing with a shared material trait or a type to something with a shared abstract trait or a quality. For example, a roof and an umbrella are both waterproof covers. They also have the same quality of being things that are above you. So you could say that the roof is the house's umbrella. 2. Or a thing with a shared quality to something with a shared type. For example, a grenade and an idea can both be explosive. So you could say an idea is a mind grenade. 3. Or from a thing which has a shared type to a similar thing with the same shared type. For example, paws and claws are both appendages on different kinds of animals. So you could say that a claw is a bird's paw. Or by comparing a thing to something that's proportional to it, meaning that they are of similar size. So a snake and a cucumber could be of a similar size. And the metaphor would be that a snake is a cucumber of the forest. Or they could be the same amount of something. So you could have a similar amount of cannonballs and a similar amount of peas. Or you could say that they have a similar sort of ratio. So you could say that an army and a family are a lot of people. So the metaphor could be that you're preparing enough food for an army. So when you make a comparison using proportion, it's when the second term is to the first and the fourth to the third. And then you use the fourth for the second or the second for the fourth. We might also give benefit of the doubt if the term we are comparing is of a similar type. So for example, the sword is to the warrior as the pen is to the writer. We can also qualify that metaphor by adding the term which is relative to the appropriate word, by saying that the pen is the writer's sword. Sometimes there's no word that is sort of reasonably proportionate, but you can still use a metaphor. So for example, to plant seeds is called sowing, but the action of the sun in scattering rays is sort of nameless. So the writer can say that the sun is sowing the sunshine. Another kind of metaphor is to apply a new label to something but deny that label one of its qualities. So we're going to go back to our sword-pen metaphor. We could call the pen the bladeless sword. Style. Having a style makes it easier for the audience to understand and follow without losing them or talking down to them. The clearest style is to only use current words, but even that can be sort of talking down to the audience. Sometimes the diction can be raised up by mainly using any of the other kinds of words. If you were to use a style that's only sort of using metaphorical words, then you risk sort of speaking in riddles, or jargon if it's all in strange words. And for a riddle to be a riddle, it has to express some truth under impossible definitions, which can only be done using metaphor. So when creating a style, you want to make the story distinct, but also clear and understandable. So you need to strike a balance between the types of words you use. If you want to make a character sound distinct, then nothing makes that clearer and easier than by lengthening, contracting, or altering words. Because when you deviate from the normal way of speaking, the language will stick out. If you have it mostly conforming to sort of common patterns of speech, then it will still be understood. And remember, overusing any of these devices can be super distracting, so use them lightly for best effect, as you want those moments to stand out. Also, taking any of these devices and replacing them with something that's in common use will take a statement from elevated to grounded. So consider what effect you want to make when making these choices. Now, some will criticize this way of speaking as sort of no one speaks like that in real life. But it's the differences from the grounded that give style to the writing. And it's important to remember how these rules are supposed to work when using them. The writer should always try and combine all of the poetic elements, or at least as many as they possibly can, because good writers are expected to excel even in genres that are not their own. Complication, Denouement. Drama has two parts, the complication and the denouement. The complication is anything from the start of the story to the point where there is a turning point, either in a good or a bad direction. The denouement is from that turning point to the end. Usually things outside of the plot are combined with the plot to create the complication, and the rest of that unfolding is the denouement. Now, there are four kinds of drama. The complex, which depends on a reversal of the situation and recognition. The pathetic, where the motive is passion. The ethical, where the motives are ethical. And the simple, where we remove the purely spectacular elements. Again, you want to focus your story around one plot. You don't have the time to explore multiple plots in the detail that they require. So focus on one in particular. Too many plots will often fail. Now, when a reversal of the situation creates not only the tragic effect, but also hits on a moral sense, then that's when it's really working.